And Gary, last question. Like, I'm really busy at my job.
We have time for one more from Sean. We have time for one more. Okay.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sean Lowery Show. I have with me Ami Kozak, who's funny as hell. But, all right, before you say a word, the first thing we're doing, and I've been doing this in the 90s of my episodes, is a 90-second rapid fire, just random questions. And that's how I've been starting off the podcast lately. So you ready to rock?
Ready.
Okay,
Thanks
let's do
for
it.
having me.
All right, usually I start the timer. Hold up. All right, Brandon, all right, 90 seconds, go. All right, ready? What actor would you want to play you in a movie?
Melissa McCartney.
All right. Who's your favorite musical, like band or rapper or like favorite artist, rap music?
Currently Bruno Mars and Rage Against the Machine. If we're gonna go.
Oh, unique. All right. What is your least favorite food?
My least favorite food. I have to answer quickly, right?
Yes. Like you're already wasting way too much time.
I have no love for improperly cooked salmon.
Okay. Would you rather have a peg leg or a Mike Tyson face tattoo?
Mike Tyson face tattoo, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
It's Mike Tyson, because, peg leg, you won't be able to box, won't be a fighter. You be a fighter, you gotta get face tattoo. You gotta be intimidating. It's because I'm an animal. When I'm an animal, they don't know what's coming. I need my fucking leg, man. They don't know what's coming. I'm an animal. Keep going with the question.
What's your favorite sports team?
I don't follow sports. I'm a musician and comic. Next question.
Okay. Who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, impossible question.
Who's a comedian that you like?
Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neal.
Okay. We'll go. That's two. That's already too many. Yep. All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Melania Trump, Taylor Swift, Serena Williams.
Fuck Taylor Swift. Have a three-way with Serena and Melania because she likes that. Keep going.
All right, I'll give you that.
I'll let her spank me with a tennis racket, and then I'll do pee-pee on Melania.
Okay. Would you rather have every food you eat for the rest of your life taste like undercooked salmon or lose all your social media followers?
Lose all my social media followers. Because you know why? It's not about the followers. It's about underpriced attention. You see, you already got me going. Keep going.
10 seconds left. Who's somebody you want to punch in the face?
AOC.
Okay. All right. Your favorite drug?
That can't go out, man. I'm going to get visited by the CIA.
Advil.
No drugs for me. I keep it. I'm high on life, man.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
All right, ding, ding, ding. I usually have the timer. I couldn't get it right. So, Brandon, when we edit that for the 90 seconds, I think it was about 90 seconds. But yeah, that's how I've been starting off, man.
How'd I do?
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
No, you didn't get any right.
Right,
over 10.
Let me do.
Yo, but what up? What up, Ami?
What's up, Sean? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude, I have been following you on TikTok for so long, dying laughing at your stuff because, first of all the people that you impersonate are like people like that, like in like the world that I pay attention to, kind of. So that's definitely, I feel like I'm your perfect niche of people, and of course, dude, the Garyvee impressions are epic, and I feel like he's such a funny and like kind of an easy person to mock because just go for it. You just do it. Like Tim Dillon makes fun of him sometimes, and it's kind of like making fun of The Secret. Like in Always Sunny, they have the episode where like they have a vision board.
Right.
And, like my vision board is like a hot chick on a motorcycle, and she's like coming over to like bang me, and it's like it's easy to make fun of that stuff.
I kind of fell into that niche by accident because, I do impressions of everybody. I mean, I've become labeled the CEO of Garyvee impressions on TikTok. Thanks again for having me on, and I'm glad you've discovered me on TikTok from that angle, because I had been on TikTok for a few months doing impressions of any random person I could do and get my hands on. And then one random day, it was and everyone, I think a lot of creators who are coming up now have this story of the one video they posted after posting consistently that kind of clicked.
Right.
And I'm in my car and I was doing Gilbert Gottfried and politicians and Bernie Sanders and all these different people. Like I was doing everybody because like, just to say a little bit about my background, to say how I got to the Garyvee, if you're
absolutely
interested.
Go for it.
What you see behind me is a music studio. What you see behind me is a music studio. I'm a musician. I've been a composer, producer, and singer-songwriter for the last decade. Studied music, and I've been a professional musician working in film and TV. That's been sort of my day job for the last 10 years or so. And as a comic, I've always been, informally a comedian socially with friends doing impersonations of everybody. I've done some sketch work and some voiceover work over the years, but mainly I've been in music, immersed fully all in for the last decade. And then I started looking at these social media platforms and I'm like, you know what? When TikTok came around, I was like, let me not squander this opportunity. And I'm going to see how I use TikTok. I'm going to try it consistently by posting every day, 5 days a week, take off for the weekends and see what happens. And I started doing Instagram music stuff like in 2019, but then in 2020 with TikTok, it sort of lent itself more to like that quick content stuff. I started doing comedic stuff and some music stuff, but a lot of comedy that was getting some good reactions, posting every single day for about 2 months or so. And then one day I'm sitting in my car and I came across some Garyvee clip, maybe in the For You page or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, let me try a Gary impression. Let's see how that goes. I throw my phone up in the air and I just said, I'm just so sick of fucking 20, 40-year-olds complaining. Right? That they're not killing it. Okay? Like, if you want to win, fucking move to Louisiana and start a fucking peanut butter brand. Right? Like, that's a real shit. Right? So I throw that up. Don't even think about it. It's like 4 p.m. on a Thursday. And then, like, I looked at my phone and videos up until that point, we're getting a couple hundred views, a comment or two. I look at my phone, it's like 10K views. What? Do a refresh, 15. It starts to have that effect. And I'm like, holy crap. So long story short, that video sort of catapulted me a little bit and got featured by Barstool Sports on their Instagram page that Monday and got a bunch of like my followers on Instagram went from like my own little like endeavor to like an audience that I could cater to. And then I got some messages from some interesting creators who gave some good advice. They were like, kind of lean into the stuff that's really clicking and then build your foundation. And then I started doing like influencer type of guru people. And I started making a little bit of a theme on that. Tim Ferriss, Simon Sinek, Gary Vaynerchuk, all
Jordan
those kinds
Peterson.
of people. Yeah, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson was another similar story where one day I threw a Jordan Peterson impersonation up on YouTube. And my YouTube had like nothing. There was nothing going on there. It was like, just some, 50, 13 followers. I don't even know, subscribers. It was nothing. But I threw a Jordan Peterson video up from my car one day. It was like Jordan Peterson as Siri, it's like, I'm trying to get to Roxbury Park, which is a park here in LA. Well, it depends on which way you go. You don't want to go to the left, too far to the left. You could end up in bloody hell. I throw that up and that has gone, that semi went kind of viral, I guess you could say, got to like 700,000 views and started bringing in all these subscribers because he was kind of absent from the scene at the moment. So there's like this thirst for Jordan Peterson. Started working that into my TikToking and content. That's the long story of how I kind of fell into the entrepreneurial impersonation niche, but I do all sorts of people too. But anyway, I'm glad it spoke to you and what you do.
Yeah, it totally spoke to me. And I didn't know you were a musician until, I'm not gonna lie, like today. Yeah. No. I before the podcast, I did some looked into you a little bit, and I saw all the music stuff. Mm-hmm. So you have a band?
Yeah. I play in a band called Distant Cousins. We're based here in Los Angeles. We're like an indie. It's always hard to describe your own style, but I would say indie folk pop. It's the three of us. We did a lot of harmonies. We write for film and TV. We've had a lot of our songs used in commercials, trailers, films, television, all that stuff. We've released a bunch of albums. Yeah. So we've had some EPs, some albums. We perform live when live performance is a thing. And so we're pretty busy. So that's.
Do you still, is that still your main thing? I mean, you seem to be taking off on this impression thing. That's how I know you. I'm assuming, do more people know you from the impressions than the music?
It depends where, right? In the social media sphere, I've been making an interesting dent there on TikTok, especially. Yeah, and that's given that a bit of a presence. I'd say it's just like having multiple children, So I've had one child I've given a lot of attention to over the last year, and I've neglected this other child, and now I'm finally giving it the attention it deserves, and the child is thriving.
There you go.
Child being comedy.
And since people like you, they can then let me check out his music.
Yeah. And I'm interested to work more stand-up into what I do. The problem is over the last
I was going to ask you about stand-up.
Yeah, because look, it's funny. I've been performing on stage for 20 years, like doing since like high school in bands, but only from a musical context. So stand-up is a whole other beast. And I've done a little bit, like I did one of my first paid stand-up gigs, and it was pretty. I mean, it's a whole other beast. But that was in February of 2020, and then everything shut down. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to double down on content creation and make funny stuff, build a little bit of an audience, and then with stand-up, you really just have to put yourself out there and keep working it out. So I've been writing bits and working out an act.
Is your stand-up like a lot of impressions, or is it not, or is it just more? My
stand-up is sort of right now yet to be determined because I haven't been able to work into the circuit yet, because what launched me into comedy was doing a lot of this content, and then you have to kind of figure out your act as you do it. But I also like to write, comedy wise. So like I find that impersonations are a great tool, but it's icing on the cake. You need the cake. Like I very much take the philosophy of trying not to get up there and just being like, who wants to hear Bernie Sanders? So yes, like I can work it in, but I also want to write like a funny bit. Of course. Right. Not just for the folks on Wall Street, but for the folks on Main Street. Is that such a radical idea? So I want to write. I think
the voice is funny, but it's so funny when you're also taking that person's personality and making jokes out of it.
Yeah, like imagine going to a musical concert and like this guy gets on an instrument and can shed, and it's like really cool how technical he is. But after about 2 or 3 minutes, if there's no song or something like that you're listening to that's a real piece, like then it kind of gets lost. So these are strong tools that I want to, as an arsenal, work into my set, but I also want a set. I'm developing that. I've been developing that over the last year.
Right.
And the second I can, start working it in front of crowds, I will. It's just, I'm in LA, which is at the worst of how to handle all this crap. So they're not really open for business yet on comedy.
Yeah, and I know from everything I know, and I feel like a lot of people in like my world, I know a lot about the art of stand-up from guess who?
From
Joe Rogan. He's always talking about.
Yeah, man. I've done some Joe Rogan. Yeah, it's crazy.
He's like always talking about the craft of it. You got to keep practicing it. And he also is a kind of like an LA hater now because he moved to Texas. I saw you from New Jersey.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a native. How long have you there?
I'm from Philly, and I live in Charleston, South Carolina now. Mm-hmm. How long ago did you move to LA?
I think it's been 9 years December. Maybe I'm about to hit my 10th, I believe. I think it's 9 or 10 years ago. Yeah, we moved out here from I was living in New York. I'm from New Jersey, and then I went to college in Boston at Berklee College of Music, and then was in New York for 2 years, and then here for the last 9 or 10.
Like you're gonna stay there?
I don't know. That's yet to be determined. LA has its issues, and it hasn't been a good year for LA. And I feel like now
what are the issues? What are the issues?
Well, there's a lot of things. It's expensive, and you don't get a lot for your. LA thinks it's a city, but if you're from the East Coast and you've been in New York City, like there's very few places that are cities. LA is sort of a hybrid, which is good in some ways. It's a hybrid suburb city kind of thing, but it doesn't justify the way like when you want to buy or like rent in New York City has its prices because you have the city at your disposal. But in LA, you're driving everywhere, and it's sort of suburban in that way. So it's undecided what it is. And then there's homelessness everywhere, and it's decrepit. Yeah. And then you're trying to run your business here, and there's all these headaches and issues. And just like as you get a little older, that kind of local government stuff starts to matter more. It's not just like theoretical. And like you're not just like arguing about, the president. You're arguing about
local taxes.
Like what the hell? Like you're getting a letter from the local thing about you didn't register, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of bureaucracy is annoying, and just so that kind of stuff is getting to me. And just we happen to live. I'm married with 4 kids, so we're far from family from both my side and my wife's side. So like it'd be nice to be near them. So we're thinking how the long-term stuff could work. And now with all the content you can do from anywhere, it's kind of a unique time to not have to be, even though like if I was anywhere else, I'd probably be back on the East Coast near New York, but you don't have to be. You can build your audience pretty organically if you put in the work, as Gary said. If you put in the work, you can build your audience.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about homeless people, because I've talked to a few people from California and LA, and it's definitely like a big problem. And like from a comedian sense, like it's kind of homelessness is like, if you're looking at it from the right lens, it's a little funny. Like they're homeless. But here's the one thing I heard someone say recently, and it was the first time I ever heard this. I forget who it was, but they said they saw like 2 or 3 like 25-year-old guys that looked like they were from like nice families that were like homeless because it was like trendy or cool.
Who were trying to live on their own?
I don't know. I heard like there's so many homeless people. Is it because they all go there because it's nice weather, or like is it because the environment creates homeless people, or is it like almost like cool to be homeless, or like what is the deal with all the homeless people? Like it's crazy.
I have a really funny answer. It's probably because of mental illness.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say no. Look, I feel bad for them. They're homeless, but like we as the non-homeless have to see it.
Yeah, dude. It's like,
and that's not cool. I always find that very funny when people complain about homelessness, including me, but it's like, we're complaining like, woe is me, because we have to see them homeless.
Yeah, it's like
there's
very
something in there. There's a bit
us.
in there like, yeah, but what about us who have to watch them suffer? That's not convenient. I don't want to see that. I want to pretend it doesn't exist.
Why are they concentrated in San Francisco and LA?
Well, it's warm.
I mean, I'm in Charleston, warm.
Yeah, but also they're in New York too, so I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. You know, it's obviously probably a bigger underlying issue of homelessness. It's not, but you know, it's warm here. You can be outdoors all year round and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it gets to a point when you're walking around LA and it's supposed to be nice, but it really looks like Queens with palm trees. That's what I describe. Like most of LA looks. It depends where you live, but a lot of LA looks gross. Cracked streets, infrastructure is like decrepit, and like when you're walking, it's one thing to step in dog shit, but to step in human shit is another level. And if there's like human turds on the side of the road, dude, you're like, we may need to think about it.
Figure this out. Do something.
Like I'm taking if I'm taking my son out for pizza in our cute little neighborhood, and then someone comes by the garbage can collecting things, and I'm like, hi.
Like, yeah, how do you act? Like, yeah.
You know how you look, you don't make eye contact, you look sort of just to the side of their face. It's and
like you're not like judging them, but trying not to see them.
Yeah, listen, it's hard for me. It's hard for us, and all of us, to see that. So it's
tough.
But
anyway. I always think it's from like a business perspective. I always think it's funny. Like I'm joking around. Like obviously, you know, mental illness, whatever. But like when they have like signs and they're like, I want money or whatever. Like think the business strategy of that. Like what corners get you the most? Like should you be like angry, like yelling at people, or like
maybe Gary could coach them on the homeless hustle, because like I think your homelessness gives you so much perspective and humility. I'm jealous. I don't want my fucking house. I would give it all away and move to a fucking curb.
Yeah, I can see him saying that. Like, so when you like Garyvee, like,
yes,
like
we can go there.
In general, the people you impersonate, like, but Garyvee, you like Garyvee, or
I like Garyvee? Yeah, I get that question all the time. I can't tell if you love him. Do you hate him? Yeah. Of course. If I didn't like, if I was doing it out of a bad place, that wouldn't be comedy.
Right.
You know,
right?
You could say imitation's a form of flattery. It's like, look, I've imitated people that I don't respect in some way, but that he doesn't fall into that category at all. It's more like, if you really pay attention to what Garyvee says most of the time, it's like, stop wasting your time listening to me and do stuff.
Yeah,
you know, and stop and don't complain. He says the same thing over and over again.
Over and over, man. And like I was a Garyvee head. I bought his shoes. I bought his wine. Yeah, and then after a couple of years, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, shut up, Garyvee.
What's funny, where I try to find the funny stuff, is in like, I take his oversimplifications of life's difficult problems and how to make money, and all of those things, the way kind of Tim Dillon takes that angle. He's like, okay, do it. You know, the vagary stuff, and I just like amplify it to the max. When it's a little vague, I find that, and I just push and push and push. Or I give really intentionally bad advice that doesn't make sense. So there's a funniness in that you can easily misinterpret what he's saying to be very confusing, or just on its face, like, you know, don't be negative, like hustle, work hard, figure it out. And I kind of find where the funny parts are and give bad advice.
It's so funny.
In territories and areas that he like giving medical advice, like he shouldn't be giving medical advice. But what if he did give medical advice?
I think it's negativity that's causing cancer. Honestly, like on some real shit. Like too many people, it's sad, they're getting diagnosed with cancer because they're fucking negative. If they change their perspective, nothing kills cancer cells like empathy and like positivity.
Well, it's actually been proven that positive thought can help stop cancer.
Exactly. On some real shit, Sean. Like, I love that you said that so much. Like, so much. Like, I really, really believe that. And I don't have to care about people's opinions, especially doctors. You know, all of that kind of stuff.
And like, it is
How's
funny
Brandon
to look
doing?
at it.
Brandon, you okay?
He's laughing
Cackling
back
over there? I can
there.
hear
He's
cackling.
laughing.
That's okay.
It is funny to like think about somebody with like has a blank slate mind and they like listen to Garyvee once and like take his words and like try to take action from it because it is vague sometimes. And like, that's where the humor comes from. And I get that so much. And like, obviously it's caught on big time. And like, you probably, do you keep doing him so much because it's like, get so many views?
Look, at the end of the day, I'm not out to be. My mission is not to be a Garyvee impersonator.
Right.
That's not what I want. That's not my brand or whatever. I'm not like, I have to be the Garyvee impersonator. It's more like, I just want to be funny and I'm finding funny. Sometimes you can catch yourself doing that when it's tempting to like post something that you know might catch. But for me, I always put funny first. It doesn't matter what it is or who it is. Like, my standard is funny. If I think of something and it's a Garyvee bit and I go, then I go there. If I think of something and it's Tim Ferriss or it's Jordan Peterson or it's not an impression, but it's some other kind of bit, I just go with what's funny. And you have to work that muscle of just churning out funny ideas and executing them. And Garyvee sometimes I can do very easily with very little resistance to getting the funny idea and the nugget. Especially if a piece of his comes up in my feed and I'm like, well, what if I tweaked what you said? And I don't know what it happened with a piece recently where in one of the videos he posted of his content, he took somebody's phone from the audience and called someone and got really bold and said, listen. I'm like, so what if he took someone's phone who didn't want him to? So he grabs this guy's phone. This is the bit. Some guy's like, is that your phone? Here. Hey, what's up? It's Gary. I'm here with Mitchell. And it's like at a keynote, you know? He's like, this is your boss? And he's like, yeah, but please don't call him. I'm fine. Like, this guy's fine. He has no issues. Okay, I'm here with Mitchell. He just wants to tell you, fuck your fucking face. He doesn't need your fucking money. He's going to go out there and crush it. And he's like, no. Please, I love my job. And, you know, so crazy. Yeah. So there's all these funny angles to put on it. And Gary's commented himself on a bunch of videos.
I was going to say, didn't he duet you or something like that?
He duetted that big viral one that was about peanut butter. And so he did that one. And he comments every once in a while when he's into something, you know. I've done stuff. Yeah.
He probably appreciates it. Like,
of course, yeah.
I would love if someone was doing.
I always find it funny when people don't get it, when they're just like, "Yo, you're hating. What's wrong with you?" Or you're just jealous. I'm like, you guys, you know, those people who fundamentally don't get what comedy is or jokes. Right. You know, obviously nothing is serious. It's all for the laugh, and that's it. Not to say I won't do people who like deserve to be destroyed, but I'm still doing it to be funny, not to like insult them. I'm trying to find a funny.
Who deserves to be destroyed? Like Bill Cosby?
I don't know. You know, there's some people in that guru world who you could argue are not legit. You know, they're a little snake oily, and I won't name names, but you could do the math. And I've done bits on them, but I'm doing it to be funny and even point out maybe how not legitimate they are. There's a funny bit in there, but I'm not trying to like, you know,
but it's funny. You just want it to be funny.
I'm not trying to make that point primarily, even if that comes across that way. I
love that. Have you ever got like some actual like heat at all? Like, I don't know, from like social justice warriors or something? Like, because
I've gotten some
sometimes they can help
comments.
Your brand.
I've gotten nasty comments and stuff. Some of them are pretty funny. One time, like, it was actually from the other side. It wasn't social justice warriors. It was when I was making fun of Trump and I did some Trump bits.
Okay.
Where it was like the Chris Wallace debate when he was asking him to denounce white supremacy, but Trump always had this way of saying enough so his supporters would be like, see? And then his detractors would be like, no. So
exactly.
He was like, do you, Donald Trump, denounce white supremacy and the Ku Klux Klan? I think there's bad people. There are bad people out there. Lots of bad people, folks. We don't know. What do we know? What we know. And I think, he's like, but do you denounce white supremacy? I think everything is good and bad. There's a lot of bad and a lot of good. We got to focus on the good people. So like, notice how he said he focuses on the good, which doesning imply. So some Trump, like a Trump supporter.
It's like MAGA people. MAGA people got.
Yeah, MAGA people were writing me like, oh my, like how could you? Giving me all this crap for being like they're
just as bad
for being a shill for the left, which is so ironic. I don't really lean that way, but I basically said, I responded, it's so funny. I always thought it was the social justice warriors who couldn't take a joke, and look at you.
I know, dude.
And I called him out, and then we ended up having a decent discussion. But I was like, "Look, man, like, you should be able to take a joke. You're the one always, always claiming it's the left.
They can't take a joke. That's what I thought was so funny with like the Capitol riots. My one thought was like, you guys are acting just like the
Yeah,
other
that
party who's freaking out irrationally, no emotions, just losing control of your logic. And like, that's exactly what you were laughing at people from before.
That was a problem. That was a problem, folks. There's a big problem. A lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Trump's fucking wild, man. Like, I liked him. Like, he just went nuts. He just went like he said he didn't incite it, but he did have like a rally right near it. Like, it was very like close to it.
That
like,
one was a tough one. You can't square that one.
Man.
You know,
it's like,
yeah.
And then he like ran back to the White House.
That was the one. That was the time when you're like, you know, son, you can always make the case that like with a personality like his, you know, there's a very big difference between like, I think the problem was there's an expression that said like Trump supporters take him seriously, not literally, and Trump haters take him literally and not seriously.
Yeah.
And I always kind of understood that argument in that, you know,
Me too.
Trump was everyone, you know, CNN was like, he's so not presidential. And you'd be like, exactly. That's why his junkyard dog approach is what appealed to other people. It's like he's the anti-president in that way. So to the extent that he's not presidential is what's, you know, causing him to gain a lot of support from people. That's what people are. That's what people are being drawn to. So it's not an argument. It's a dying argument to say, look how not, you know, becoming. And I get the argument. It's valid, but it's also like you're misunderstanding. There was a fundamental misunderstanding of what the appeal of Trump was, and I think for a lot of people who couldn't stand the sight of him, they assumed that all these people who were supporting him were doing it. That they were espousing, you know, this white nationalism, bigotry, all this horrible stuff, and that's what people were drawn to. And I'm like, I think, you know, for millions and millions of people in the country, it's they don't accept your narrative and characterization of him. What they're liking is this junkyard dog. I'll say what I need to say, what's on my mind. There was a refreshing element there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of the my favorite things about Trump, and I always said this because I don't care, man. I'm in the center. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He was funny. Like there was humor, right? Like he did that. So he did the bit at all his rallies. And the fact that he had bits is funny to begin with. But he would do the one where it's like, I can be presidential. Look at me. I'm presidential. How are you guys doing tonight? And he would like, and then he's like, we don't want to do that.
He could riff for hours from the stand. And that was something we'd never seen. And so there's a lot of, and then if you put quotes around something, you know, and make it a thing.
Or text.
Because like they're used to everything from a president and from politicians up until him has been so calculated, so planned, formalized as a statement. With Trump, it's like, oh my God, we're going to do a lot. And, you know, he would say something, if he said anything like, you know, they're going crazy. Folks are going crazy. Trump describes the media as crazy. And so, you know, if you contextualize it in that way, as if these are serious presidential statements, understandably, because the office historically is supposed to be that. So whatever. But you don't pretend like you don't get it. You know,
right. And I don't know if some people are pretending or whatever.
I think there was that bit of a delusion to say, like, you know, confusing the disappointment of his demeanor with taking it literally, or, you know, as a statement.
And then if you're on
and
the
it's
other
easy
team,
to demonize him if you take every statement, make it literal, and say, here's what we're dealing with. You can create a character and a demagogue that is. If he were, you know, defined that way as a serious politician, yes, there's a lot of the statements are obviously indefensible. If you take them as jokes, he just towed that line as like, when it's really bad, I'm just joking, and when it's
right. And as I was going to say, that's one thing about a comic that they can always say, and I'm not saying he's not in that category of a comic, but you can always say,
he wasn't. He's the president. So I get the argument, but people are just
even
pretending.
Even like, and this, I'd love to get canceled. Even like the grab him by the pussy thing, like, okay, it sounds terrible, but like he was like being a little fratty, like, oh yeah, he was like, he laughed when he said it, like it was just a silly, like, I mean, I'm not, it's not funny to.
Well, no,
it's stupid. You can't grab someone.
Mick Jagger or any celebrity person was in the car talking about that stuff, whatever, and was saying those things, like I think. You know, I just think they thought they had like a gold mine on that, and it didn't even work. He still won with that.
Right. And like, it makes no sense. Like, it was just like, I was at a bachelor party last week with my friends. And like, some stupid shit we would say. It's just like, you're trying to catch a laugh from someone or just like messing around.
Obviously, my jaw dropped when I heard that, but at the same time, if I was recorded, if everything I ever said was recorded, we'd all be going to hell. We'd all be
actually, I actually remember I was actually mad. I kind of liked him then. I was planning on voting for him, and like I was kind of mad when that came out because I was like, he better apologize because it did look really bad. It looked terrible, and like I don't support the concept that people put behind it. But
well, you don't support the literal action, but riffing and talking is what people do, so they avoid doing those things.
Exactly.
Sometimes you riff and talk about horrible things, or you put horrible things into jokes or into art, so that nobody thinks Quentin Tarantino, and it's not quite a comparison, is like supports violence in real life. He puts violence into his movies, and I'm not saying Trump is acting as an artist, so to speak, but I just mean I think we can all understand that there's
locker room talk. Locker room talk.
No one condones the language as literal support of those actions. He's making a point about celebrity and all that stuff. But anyway, I don't know if I want to die on that hill either.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever.
Grab him by the pussy. Any other politician would have been destroyed by that. Imagine Bernie Sanders said that, right? Look, folks, not just the folks on Wall Street. You can grab anybody by the pussy if you wanted to, and if you had to, I would make sure every American can grab every other American. Not just the folks on Wall Street, but the folks on Main Street, to grab them all by the middle class and working class pussies of this country.
And then like the one side would find a way to defend it. Like just it's so silly.
Yeah, I just mean other politicians who have a portrayal of being upstanding. The reason that I don't think that took Trump down is because everyone else has this front persona of being, super upstanding individuals of character and class, and Trump didn't have that as a brand. Everybody knew he was a dog. So him saying that didn't really shock you. You were like, yeah, that's a reality TV star, scummy dude. That's how they talk. It would have destroyed anybody else. Anyway,
But I did appreciate his humor when he was at the top.
Right.
But like you went to school for music.
Yes.
And you have a band, and then like, are music and comedy related?
They're related in a sense that I think being a musician has given me a very good understanding of timing, dynamics, the rhythm. You can make a lot of parallels in all sorts of different art forms. People speak about musical terms like the different flavors and seasonings. So like to cooking or to comedy, you can draw parallels and comparisons between art forms. And I'd say with music and comedy, there's certainly the structure of a set when you're putting things together, how to keep an audience engaged, having proper setup, the climax of a song, different dynamic shifts, when to pause, when to break, all those kinds of stuff. That can inform comedy, I think, a lot. I think music offers certain things that are a little more protective of you as the artist, because you can create this sort of mysterious dimension within music. Not everyone can play music and make music. And if you're doing it properly, you can kind of create this thing where the audience has to work harder to connect to it, but they're willing to. And comedy, you're very exposed, and people know if they're liking it or not. They're almost not controlling it. So there's a benefit to music over comedy in that way on the performance side of things. So I think once I start doing more and more stand-up, I think having musical chops and abilities and experience will certainly help.
You can find connections. Wouldn't
me, like with my pace and all that stuff. I haven't been doing comedy on the stand-up circuit enough to know where all the comparisons are, but I can certainly tell, having done it a little bit, that that there's a dynamic, there's a rhythm to comedy that once the set is really worked out, it works very much like a concert. But I would say that, you have certain things with comedy that are, each of them have their own challenges too, right? Like, the uphill battle of getting to a place of work, of being comfortable enough to perform an instrument on stage, takes years and years of getting comfortable on the instrument, getting your rhythm down, all that practice. Whereas with comedy, the act of performing, you need to put in that much time, but you can kind of keep, and like you always need to put time into every craft, but you can start trying stuff out right away and trying jokes out right away and build it up that way. But you can't rehearse for comedy in advance. You really got to work it out on stage, have your stuff prepared, but there's not a mechanism for rehearsing, and there's not really a school, a trained sort of school of comedy. You have to kind of learn your own way and learn from other people. It's a little more learning on the streets, as opposed to music, which has more of a formal foundation. Right. So there's differences, there's similarities. And I would say,
I would think from a business perspective, one thing I think about is like, all right, you're a live performer and you have your hits. Like everyone wants to hear the hits.
Right.
Like you play them over and over. I don't think that's the same with comedy, right? So like if you are Mick Jagger and you're touring, you're the Rolling Stones, like you play your hits. You play them over and over, and people want to hear them. They sing along. But I don't think if someone goes to see Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, they want to hear the same bits like from 3 years ago, right?
That's, there's different schools of thought on that within comedy. Some of the more old school guys and traditional guys. I think Jerry Seinfeld would say, and I've seen a lot of his talk on his philosophy of comedy, you can do, if you have an act that people love and cherish, you can do the same joke again, and believe it or not, everyone will still laugh at all the exact same times. People think that, there's an element of surprise to it, but I think even, I don't know if you can bring him up anymore, but as a comic, Bill Cosby had a famous bit of like the dentist, and someone at a crowd once when he was doing a show years ago said, do the bit, and he does the bit and everybody still cracks up at all the same thing.
Right.
But at the same time, yes, the need to hearing the same song over and over again has a different effect than hearing the same joke over and over again, because the joke requires unexpected
the surprise element. And
the way to connect to the joke
element
is that feeling of being caught off guard. So yes, I guess that's a unique challenge within the art form, but it's just that's
but I guess if you have like what's that one guy who was on Entourage, he's a comedian, loudmouth, hickory dickory doc, suck my cock, who's that guy? I can't think of his name right now.
Jeremy Piven?
No, he was like, he played himself on Entourage. Him and Johnny Drama had a show together. Hey Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah.
Brandon, search Hickory Dickory Doc. Anyway.
I think it was from Entourage. That's the voice right there. I don't really know. Anyway, it was one of Vince's friends already, I think, with drama, and that's the Jamie.
You don't want to fucking Google it. But my point was he had like stand-up bits that were like, his voice was like the funny part. So that's more similar to a song. Like you could play it over and over. People want to hear it because there's not really the element of surprise. It's more about like the voice. So it's like playing the hits over and over again.
But I have thought about it a lot, the similarities and differences between music and comedy, because I'm pretty comfortable on stage as a musician, having done it for years. And I'm trying to figure out how that's going to benefit me once I get it. But the truth is I have to work the stuff out in that arena, the comedy.
Is there any famous person that people know that does both?
Reggie Watts.
I was trying to...
Reggie Watts is a big... You know Reggie Watts?
I don't know Reggie Watts.
Sounds familiar. He's also the band director for James Corden, Late Night James Corden.
Okay, yes. Actually, that's the guy that popped in my head. Kind of like cornrows.
Yeah, big hair. And,
okay.
So he's a
James
good example
Corden.
of someone who I like look up to as someone kindred spirit. I do also a lot of beatboxing and funny. He fuses music with comedy, with stand-up. My ideal act will probably have all of those things eventually.
Yeah.
Because I can do all of that. Why would I
bring it together?
Yeah, so why would I leave that alone? But eventually, I have to really get comfortable in a stand-up medium, because that would be a stand-up show or a comedy show that would have musical elements to it. Like maybe it's like writing funny songs, with funny bits, and working it in and having audience. What's that? Andrew Dice Clay. Hey, that guy.
That guy.
So I want to also kind of earn my stripes a little bit in that arena. And with comedy, it's just interesting. Even the culture is a little different. The musical culture and the comedy culture, which I'm learning now as I delve more into it. People have their
if you can combine them into your own unique thing, then that's like your act.
Sure.
And that would be awesome, dude.
So I'll have to get
totally
there. That's
that.
one of my goals over the next couple of years is developing that into something.
When are you going to be able to do stand up?
I have to figure out when the LA places can open for even just open mic stuff and testing stuff out to work out, your set in your 5-minute increments, 7, 10, 15, whatever. There's a whole process, but
is LA still
they're
shut down?
Just coming back.
Restaurants?
Indoor dining is just coming back halfway indoors. And I have to start hitting the pavement on the open mic circuit.
Have you and your family gone to restaurants and stuff?
Yeah. But that's fresh. It's very new. Like it was out. The funny thing is, like in New York, there were like these like huts I saw built when I was there 2 months ago, out in the freezing cold, and people were eating outside. And in LA, when you can do it, a lot of places were still shut down because it's been so like extreme one or the other. There's been no sort of middle ground approach here. It's either all shut down. No matter what.
I'm in Charleston, and they've been pretty reasonable. Shut down for a while. Yeah. But I went to a restaurant like probably a couple months ago. Yeah. And I felt like a king. Like someone served me a beer, and I was like, "This is the life." Like I feel amazing at being at a restaurant. I missed it so much. I love restaurants.
And live. I mean, it's nothing like performing live. For music side, we haven't performed we've done little. I find live streams. They're nice, but it feels like dry sex, you know? Like you do it if that's the only thing available, you'll go for that. But it just feels very sterile. It's like high school, like hooking up with with that like girl early days. And it's like, okay, but it's not the real thing. You know, you're just like, and then like you play and you hear nothing.
Yeah.
Like there is no engagement, no feedback, no nothing. You play, boom. And everyone's like,
yeah, man.
That was nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice
there's something special to that human connection, man. Like
the energy is just muted completely, literally and figuratively, very, very muted in a live stream scenario. It feels more like a broadcast. It doesn't feel like a live show. There's nothing like that where there's a transcendent quality to being in the moment live, and you kind of leave you can kind of just be so present that you're not even, it's sort of effortless.
Right.
That stuff is not back yet, but we just are looking into booking some shows coming up in like June and whatnot. So it looks like it's coming back. I don't know if it's full capacity.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you figure it out. Hell yeah, dude.
To work out the stand up too.
So like it's a kind of entrepreneur podcast. Like, so as like from doing what you do as a creator.
If you want to have a real fun, we could do it.
Garyvee beanie.
Yeah, the
beanie. Your business, the business of being a creative, right? Like, how do you like make money? Like, what's your income streams like, or what? You know, do you sell songs? Have you monetized your TikTok audience? Like, as a creative, what's like your money making life like?
So, as I mentioned in the beginning, my day job is also a fun job. Being a composer, producer, singer, songwriter. I've been at that
you said that, but what does that mean?
So that means I write regularly with different production companies for commercials, a lot of advertising. I have
so you're like a W-2 employee?
Right. Yeah. And I'll, not an employee. I'm a freelancer.
Okay. Freelancer.
1099. So I will get,
gotcha.
I work with several companies on a regular basis as a freelancer doing music for mostly advertising in that regard. When I'm working with, third-party people and they bring me on as a freelancer, they'll send me a brief to work on, a specific spot for, I don't know, Nissan.
Like a jingle,
Nike.
like a jingle?
Sometimes it's a song like a jingle. A lot of times it's instrumental, like a track.
Okay.
Producing a track. So that keeps me busy. Then with the band, we do a lot of our own music we've licensed. There's a process of sync licensing where you take your original music from your catalog and you get it placed on trailers, commercials, films, television, TV spots and shows have used a lot of our music, and that's brought in revenue for the band. And we've also done a lot of theme song work that we work with various networks in the industry, DreamWorks, Nickelodeon, different networks.
Nickelodeon.
They bring us on to do theme song work and some composing work on some television shows. That's going to be that we're looking into as well.
That's cool.
And the that's another area. So we're busy with that, and then we do like songwriting. Over COVID, we developed a virtual songwriting workshop where we've been working with groups, corporations, nonprofits, and we bring everyone on for a big Zoom call, and we do a songwriting session, and we write a song in an hour and a half, and then we record it, and everybody throws in videos, and we throw a whole production together. So we've just had to innovate because our live circuit revenue, live music revenue had stopped.
I mean, you have a family, like you have to figure out how to make money.
So and on the comedy side, as far as monetization, I mean, I'm keeping that in mind, but my focus right now, there's little bits of brand stuff here. We'll sponsor a video. I'll make some money on that, but mainly it's a build it, they will come approach for me right now. I have to build the business before it's a business, and that involves building the audience, and the audience is where the value is, and the audience relationship with me is where the value is. So I have my sights set on true patronage, where people eventually, I'll set up a Patreon and people come on board and actually start committing real dollars to what I do. But I have to build that, 500,000 whatever subscriber base across different platforms. Something like that I can get 1,000 true fans who can then support me on a regular basis. And that's one way to do it. Then I can sell to them all sorts of things, whether it's merchandise, live events, Zoom live, comedy stuff. But I'm still in that building phase now, which basically means lots of upfront work with no expectation, lots of that. and building that sort of real relationship where I've given so much that asking wouldn't be a big deal.
Right. And as Garyvee would say, but me as like Sean, here's what I got, Sean the comic, like I always joke, like, I'm listening to a podcast and there's like, well, if you don't have to pay any money, but if you want to, you can go to the Patreon and support me. And I'm like, no, I'm good with free. Like that's so I always kind of joke about like a Patreon, like people give you money for free, but people do it, and then like you can give them a shirt or something to like.
But my understanding is from where I'm at, like I'm early in that process, like from who I've talked to, and the whole thing is like I'm doing everything right. It's just patience, like being patient.
So you are taking some Garyvee lessons into your own
I get it.
life.
Like be patient and keep doing it, but you have to put in the work and the time and the dedication and the consistency so that you're showing up at all of these platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and building a real solid foundation of subscribers, fans, followers, whatever you want to call, however you want to label them on these different platforms. They're all there for what I do. And then maybe it's partnering with the proper brands, but that I think comes later because initially, like, I've had companies reach out and say, hey, we can send you some free bread for your video, like literally, or like a sneak, whatever the company is, it might not work. And you want to be in a position where you have leverage, I think, to negotiate and get the kind of deals you want to get. Yeah. And I think real patronage is probably my best bet because I'm an entertainer. I'm not like reviewing products on my YouTube channel. I have tech reviews. Right. Exactly. It's more so that it's less of an affiliate marketing approach and probably more of a true patronage approach. True. The best advice I've gotten.
You have a question about like the theme song stuff, right?
Sure.
Like, is the key to success in that being good, or is it more like being connected? Like, as far as like, okay, a TV show needs a theme song, like they go to who do they go to, the company, and the company goes to you, or like. It seems like hard to get in touch with those people if you're in Louisiana or somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you're making good theme songs. Like they don't know, they're not going to find you to make their theme song. Like,
like anything, you need the talent and the ability and the craft and all that stuff, like as a given, but it is not sufficient. Necessary, but not sufficient. Right. You have to be able to do the work required of you. That's for sure. But I have seen hustle outweigh talent in the sense of when all things being equal, if you can basically do the job, but you have, just I would say as important a tool is your ability to be social and make those connections. Yeah. It's a Hollywood is, show business especially, but I think every business really is a social game first because we're all human beings. I keep throwing Gary in. We're all human beings, really. And the way people remember you first is not like, oh, I heard that song and now I want to connect with you. It's like, I met you. We connected. We have a relationship now. Let me see what you can do. So it takes first the finessing of developing real relationships with people that you can eventually work with and have a productive business relationship with. But for example, you see a lot of people, including myself, when I first started out, you send an email cold to somebody and you list all the things you can do. You get very overzealous. Hi, my name is Kozak. I graduated from the Berklee College of Music. I have worked on several projects that involve, and you put all this stuff up front and they don't give a shit about that. They don't care at all. Like they're not interested. But as you get more into it and you get less green, you start to say things like you reach out and you say, hey, you just become more of a human being about it. Talk about your kids, talk about your family, talk about your life. Oh my God, I just got back from New York. The flight was crazy, but thank God I'm back in LA where it's warm because it's starting to get freezing over there. How have you been? I saw that you also traveled to New York recently. Where did you stay when you go there? I love that restaurant. You're connecting as a human first. And then after that, we're actually having a show next week. I thought you might like to, I've seen that you go to this venue a bunch, or I know somebody who somebody, come on out. I'll put you on our guest list. Human first, then you meet, then you schmooze, then you have this, then you have that, you have coffee, and then after polite persistence, I learned that from a friend. Polite persistence, it's an assumed agenda. Everybody kind of knows everyone's got to eat and got to work. But of course, what sets you apart as a filter from everybody else is having real relationships and being a real person. And then you get to the talent and skill. When push comes to shove, then the opportunities are in front of you. You're ready for those opportunities because you have the ability to write a theme song if you need.
Dude,
and then you impress on that level.
That's great advice. Like I hire all the time. I've hired over like 70 people. I have like 17, 18 employees right now. And like when we put out a job, you can tell if the person is just mass responding with like their credentials, or if they're like, hey, Sean, and if they like actually.
And it shows a certain competence and confidence that like they're not overzealous and just gonna like, run up to you and hand you a business card and walk away.
Exactly.
That's a rookie mistake, and it's understandable because you just want to like, because it's you can't manufacture confidence. So the best thing is to just be humble.
And they'll give you credentials for things that don't apply to the job that they're applying for.
Right.
And I'm
so
like,
doing your research is important too, for sure.
Yeah.
exactly.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome. The random thought, I was just thinking about when you said Nickelodeon, and I was thinking about that show Doug, and one of my favorite, and the guy would go, "Chicka-pa." No, I was thinking about like when they transition scene. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, did someone like you like do that? Like, write that? Like, make that noise? Because I love, like, I've been practicing that since I was a kid. Like, I always loved that sound. It's part of the show.
Somebody made it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And like when they were writing Doug, I don't know if they like planned out. Okay, great little weird sound right here. Like it, but that's how like things get developed. I always love
Somebody
that.
made it. They didn't have any AI, and they still kind of don't. But
Do you think they actually did that to make that sound?
possibly? But no.
Dude, that sounds just like it, dude. Dude,
Hey, I'm a
so
sound
you think
man.
you think you have like voice talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think like talent, right? Talent's a thing. Like, I think I'm talented and stuff. I actually think I have like a bad voice. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. But whatever. It doesn't really matter how good your voice is, but like, obviously some people have voice talent, right? Do you think voice like impressions or like, do you have voice talent? Do you think? I mean, I think you do, but like,
Yes.
do you think it's something more you have born with or have worked on?
Both, but I certainly was born with an ability to hear sounds and be able to recreate them organically. It's one
That's
of
why
those
you went
things
into music.
I've been asked before if I can teach an impression, and I see people try to like say, "Hey, all you have to do is this and this and this." But for me, it's always been much more of an organic, instant sort of process. I've worked on things and improved upon it, but there's a mechanism in my head that is able to hear a sound, and then I can physically respond, not just to the sound, to the manner. Like I can change into different people, like by seeing them in my mind's eye. And then if I want to turn it to Gary, I just, before even saying a word, I'll.
The face.
Right? Like
the face, dude.
ultimately, like I understand. And then if I wanted to morph into Jordan Peterson, I would start to, because like it's a manifestation of everything that they do. And it's not simple, it's not, but when I'm doing it, I don't like go to rehearse different mechanisms to do it. I just kind of turn it on, man, like a light switch, so to speak. So it's hard to teach, I will say, as opposed to guitar, if you wanted to play every note, there's a technique that you could really, for years and years, has been developed by professionals on the optimal way to play. And that's a little different than, I'd say, the impressions, But I can sort of break down what I'm doing. I purse my face. I put my face in like this position. Very tight. But that happens all after the fact. I'm not like, let me see how I put Jordan together. I kind of just do it.
Right.
And then, tuck the voice
That's
back.
a talent.
If you speak to other impressionists and you're not getting an impression, there's like certain things you might be missing, or somebody sometimes in the impressionist circuit in the world that I'm part of, like people sometimes crack the code of like, what is it about that person? That's that person, that essence. The funny thing about Trump was like, there's so many different versions of him out there because there's a lot of angles. There's, quite frankly, folks, there's people like that. There's beautiful people. Fantastic, terrific. And then I've seen other like impressions of different ways to do it. But anyway, different impressionists can locate that essence of the person. And, for Gary,
the essence, I was going to say,
Gary, I would hear like, when I heard him say like, I was like, oh, well, listen to that. Like perspective. And then I started getting my tongue a little wider, a little more nasal, and like a little higher. Like, I understand. And then it's more like the dynamic shifts. Like, it's sad. Like, it's fucking sad. I understand. What you need to do, like, Sean, on some real shit, because you're an entrepreneur, I think you're worried and you're asking these questions because you're insecure. Like,
it's true.
So anyway,
yeah, dude, you got the voice and you got the and the face and the mannerisms, but you also have like the terminology and like
that's another thing. That just takes research.
Terminology is huge.
You'll notice a lot of impressions, people who do impressionists, what they do is there's like default phrases they always go to that kind of snap them into place. Like, you'll see, like, I'll always go, so like on some real shit, like I'll say a couple of things that sort of prime me into the Garyvee shot. Or when I'm going into Jordan, so, because you have to shape the accent, you have to get yourself into the right zone. And you can slip out of it for a second, it's like a funny thing. And anyway. Yeah, so do
Jordan
I have
Peterson's
the voice
like,
talent? Probably. I think probably. I would say. But not everyone I had right away. Even Jordan took a minute to sort of get the full range of what encompasses his
Right.
isms.
He's got he uses the word archetype a lot and like,
Archetypal structure, you know, and with time it gets more refined. There's like even a mellow, you know, softer version of it that I'm developing at the moment. Even not the one that's up here, but the one that's down here. And you know, the more podcasts I consume, I get a better sense of the dynamic range of what he's doing. It's not simple. It's bloody complicated.
Yeah.
I would say, roughly speaking.
You like Jordan Peterson, like impressions aside, like as all his messages, like do you because you said you listened to him and stuff.
You couldn't do the bits I do on him without being pretty versed in that stuff, and you wouldn't be pretty versed in that stuff if you didn't like it.
Exactly.
You know, if it didn't speak to you, there's no way I would have watched the things I've watched. I discovered him before he was ever a thing. I just found some videos on YouTube of those early protest videos where people were confronting him in the street.
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm not a Nazi at all. I detest Nazism. I spent my entire life fighting against totalitarian governments. You don't know a thing about me. That stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I've loved him ever since he rose up.
Yeah, so I've been following the trajectory all
he struck a chord with people.
Yeah.
And he's in the news lately.
Red Skull.
Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
So like people listening that don't know, he's a I think it was Captain America comic book that came out, and they have like the villain, and the villain's like a Nazi bad guy, like
because it was written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's like a far left superstar in that world, and they're trafficking in serious misrepresentation of public intellectuals and figures who they deem to be right wing, and they're smearing them, and he basically portrayed Jordan Peterson as the Red Skull through the messaging of the villain.
And it wasn't even subtle portrayal. It said like top 10 rules of life and like ordering chaos. It was very specifically him.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I mean, one of the things I like about Jordan Peterson, which like really like hits home, and I feel like is where like the right wing comes in, but it's not bad. He's like, find your inner monster. Like he like, you know, find that like inner, like, and then learn to control it. And like the left is like, be nice all the time.
You don't want to be harmless. There's nothing worse than being harmless. You want to be dangerous. It's how to use it. Yeah. You know, but you don't want to be harmless.
And somehow I'll talk about like Pinocchio. He always talks about Pinocchio, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, imagine you think
the belly
a strong
of the beast.
Man, the belly of the beast. You think a strong man is dangerous. Imagine what a weak man can do. You know, become bloody resentful of the world. So.
But absolutely.
Dude.
I just found it so ridiculous. It was so absurd. His whole story has been so absurd to see because I've never seen anybody that misrepresented. You know,
why is that?
Media. They've really dug their own grave in the way they've covered him, I think. I think at the end of the day, one thing I've really noticed, because even me as someone who's been a fan of his work over the years, I still thought he was more controversial and polarizing than he actually is. Because of the media coverage. But I've discovered in my impersonations, the amount of people commenting that are positive and love Jordan Peterson.
Dude.
Of every walk of life, man, woman, every race, you know, every race, creed, and color, every you know, everyone has overwhelmingly been positive on YouTube comments like, Jordan, love me some Jordan. Oh my God, bring back Daddy Jordan. There's all these like, you know, even just like ditzy girls on YouTube saying, oh, Daddy Jordan, I miss you so much. Where are you? But I'm just like, it's not controversial. It really isn't. It's completely manufactured by a fringe activist media class that wants to make mountains out of molehills over nothing. And the majority of people, like the Red Skull thing, that's why that backlash has been happening, where they're taking Red Skull, right? And they're doing, I'll probably do a bit on it because it's funny, where I'll do like a facial impression thing as the Red Skull, but I'll be like, you know, Captain America would say, you know, said something like, I'll have Steve Rogers respond to me like, whatever the line is from Captain America. And how come you're running?
Right.
Well, you know, running's important. It's bloody important. I'm trying to, you know, try to get my own act together before I go out and try to change the world, you know? So.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway.
He's so smart. He's so smart. And he like hit right at the right time. I feel like that was like kind of why Trump won. And just like around 2016, like I feel like the social justice stuff was like rising high and like no one really like fought against it yet. And people were like, what the hell is all this stuff?
Yeah.
And then
so there was like an
I feel like it's better now. Do you think it's
the temperature the temperature in the country is just lower now because when Trump was president, love him or hate him, it was just everything was just one thing. It was a monolithic existence. You lived in the Trump era. Trump was president. That's all. You couldn't talk about any issue because it all basically hinged on
back to
where
him.
Trump was on that issue, and you could never really fairly have any reasonable discussion as long as Trump was president. It just, everyone was so
Yeah,
hysterical that you were like, well, I like that. But he's like, but Trump like that. Okay, you know, like it was, everything was so volatile. So now that that distraction element is gone, people can go back to maybe finding common ground. It was just too hard for a lot of people, and too emotionally charged at the time. And he didn't make it easier in the ways, you know, he didn't make it easier in the sense of like being provocative. So like you might like an idea that he's proposing, but if he presents it or says it in such a way where he's like, you can't defend the things he says, even if you like the things he does. So it was hard for everybody. And I get that. Yeah. So whether I
thought his biggest fuck up was when like the George Floyd like riots were going on and like early quarantine time. He didn't make any like type of unity speech. Like that was such a layup for a president.
I agree completely. That was when I kind of
such a layup.
For me, I was like, this is
just
a time.
Go up on a microphone and say, we're all united. We all love each other. We're all one country. Just say the words. Like, it was so simple.
It was such an opportunity, especially in a pandemic where you can like go beyond politics and try to just unite everybody.
Yes.
We're all scared. And at that point, it made me realize, like, for the most part, I think the symbol of a president isn't as important as what the actions of a president are. But in a moment of crisis or war, like that symbol and that ability to speak and use your words are more powerful than ever at that point. And instead of getting up and saying, we're going to fight through this together, he said, we're building a website. It's better than other websites, folks. Better than other websites. Couldn't let go of the antics. And I'm like, that's just not making us feel better. And that makes all the difference, you know?
I know a few people who voted for him the first time, and then they watched those press conferences at like 6 p.m. every day, like during the prime of the virus, and they were like, dude, this guy's freaking me out, man. Like, I just want to be told that everything going to be okay.
Even though everyone was like Andrew Cuomo was killing it. Yeah, even though everyone was like Andrew Cuomo was killing it with his press conferences, and look what happened to Andrew. Like, he was the hero of the day. And it's like, look, we're close. It's very disorienting. Very disorienting. Yeah. I'm disoriented. Is it Tuesday? Is it Friday? Is it Sunday? We don't know, but we're close and we're doing what we can. We need ventilators. We need vibrators. We need asphyxiators. We're going to do what we can do. But look. That's the law. That's the law. And it turns out he was doing all this scummy, crazy stuff behind the scenes and killing all these old people.
But it was calming at the time. It's like when they say, like, if you have your wife or your girlfriend's like complaining, just say, hey, that sucks.
Yeah. Exactly
like, that sucks. Like,
totally
Trump was just like oh. So he messed up there at the end, being too intense.
Yeah.
But I do think that the country is in a better state. And I feel like more people are not talking about politics as much, which I like.
Yes.
And like, I feel like more people are talking about like cryptocurrency now and like ideas and like
we're finally able to change the channel. We changed the channel for the first time in 4 years, you know?
And it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
it is nice. And Joe Biden is like, he's harmless, man. I mean, like I haven't seen any Joe Biden impressions. Have you ever done those? I feel like he's hard to impersonate.
Very hard. There's a couple. Kyle Dunnigan is out there doing some funny Joe Biden.
But he's got the face over. He's got the face over him.
Yeah, so he's a big favorite comedian. He's one of my favorites out there too with the content that he does. Kills me. And he puts the face swap on. But, you know, look, folks, look, there's like a little bit there. We're doing what we can, man. Come on, man. Yeah. There's a little bit of that. But he's not easy for whatever reason.
He's not easy because he's like he's just so like basic. He's kind of just
I've seen with time, someone's going to come out and really nail it. I think there are people who are getting better at it. Kyle's is a funny one. He's like, look, we got rid of Donald Duck. We're going to go out there and we're going to make it better.
You want to know who's a good one? You want to know who's a good Joe Biden? Jimmy Fallon.
Really? Okay, I'll check
it
out.
Dude, what do you think about late night talk shows in general?
I think they're pretty much on. I mean, they're kind of irrelevant a little bit to me. I don't watch them, and I think the whole manufactured, funny conversation thing is going to have to change because people are very much responding more to authenticity and people being like less production quality, but more just like real stuff. And having a celebrity on to talk about nothing in a planned, pre-planned question conversation format, people aren't as crazy about it. They're more excited. The younger kids are more excited about Charlie D'Amelio than they are about, Tom Cruise going on and talking a funny story to Jimmy Fallon. Dude, I'm not like a pop culture pulse on the pop culture expert. It's just the way I see it. People don't even watch TV anymore. So like,
of course, dude. So I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But I will say the one thing I like about late night talk shows is I wake up early and I go to the gym and the late night talk show like from the night before is on. I never watch the interviews. They don't even show up my YouTube feed because they know I hate them. But I do like Jimmy Fallon's like 7-minute news/jokes, like the monologue in the beginning, because
the
it's like a
funny
little
stuff.
it's a little bit of stand up and a little bit of news, and sometimes it's corny. But I literally have probably watched I've watched Jimmy Fallon in the morning like a lot, but I literally never watched the guests. Like that's ridiculous, so boring, so out of date, so stupid, so canned.
Right.
But I do like the little stand up, and he's been doing a lot of Joe Biden impressions lately.
Great.
And he does like the old like senile, like back in my day, Jack, we would do this and that, and he's pretty good at it. You should check out.
Sure,
I think
he's always played this like whole like, oh, I'm not very good, I'm not so talented, I'm not so this. Which always I found when he started as a late night host, that was the first thing I noticed, that he was like playing that angle. I was like, I'm just kind of the dumb host, and I'm like, no, man, you're an assassin. I know what you do. You're like like an experienced, seasoned sketch comic. You've done tons of bits. You're a writer. You're like real deal, and yet so I'm not buying this whole like, oh man, I just like I don't know what I'm doing. Like so that's his best stuff to me. Like when they're making great content, like it's great. But when they start to, I also think like when they start to get political, like they all think the same way. It's not so brave to stand up for a position that everyone around you agrees with. It's just not brave. And like I never really appreciated being preached to. Every one of those shows kind of became a daily show. In a way, and that's what turned me off.
I will say Jimmy Fallon did like the least of that. Kimmel and Colbert are just they're like political shows. They're 100% about politics.
They all became kind of daily shows as opposed to like back in the day. I didn't watch this stuff, but like when you had like Larry King and Carson and these guys like and Donahue, like they had people on that they really didn't agree with.
Yeah.
But they always had a respectful sort of way of doing it. It wasn't clickbaity. If you watch old, like even like talk shows like Phil Donahue, right? He has people on of all, and they actually engage in like an exchange of ideas and a curiosity. And even though like I think Donahue's a liberal guy, but he would have like Ayn Rand and then like Bill Buckley and these intellectuals of the conservative and other types of figures, and they would have a real conversation like two people who don't share the exact same brain in every single thought. But in the world we live in now, it's like Trevor Noah has somebody on to get gotcha moments.
Yes.
Someone who's also out there not practicing in great faith. I don't think necessarily like Candace Owens is out there always acting in good faith. They're also trying to get gotcha moments, owning the libs. So they're not like
they are
having a cordial, respectful exchange of ideas to say, oh, that's interesting. Or like, who's that other one? The blonde from Blaze Media? I'm from blanking.
Tammy Lauren.
Yeah. So he's having her on, and he's trying to end like the applause like kind of thing.
Yes.
And they used to take questions from the audience, and they would actually be curious about these people's well thought out opinions and positions. But it's not now. It's more traffic and it's tribal warfare. I'm going to play for this team Blaze, and you're going to play for team woke, and we'll see where this lands. And it's not so interesting to me.
And it's been reflected in the culture of the country too, and that's bad because. I don't even care about the fact that it's bad because it's like mental health almost. Like if you think that way, then
echo chambers,
you're gonna be stupider.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Like okay, I get clickbait. I get wanting to get like have viral moments and short films and everything, like short videos.
Yeah.
But it's for the person who isn't like thinking about it like that, and they're just like the viewer, the watcher. Like you're training their brain to not think well. And that's where the harm comes.
And I never appreciated the fact that these guys are out there preaching preaching ideas, and then when they get like cornered, they say, I'm just a comic. Like Jon Stewart used to do that. I'm just doing a comedy show. It's like, well, no, you have a point of view. Don't pretend like you don't. So I never really.
And you're getting very, very preachy.
Yeah, and I appreciated Colbert Report because that was pure comedy. He was playing a character, but it was comedy. And when it gets to be like, I don't know, not to say they can't have opinions of their own, but just be honest that you have a point of view, as opposed to saying like, a lot of times these people are not self-aware to know that they're stating a point of view, not the common knowledge shared view of everybody.
They act like it's common knowledge.
Yeah. Acting like it's common knowledge is weird and doesn't
also,
invite for a real honest debate about anything.
Exactly. And they're also probably struggling because like their cable shows, like, do you have cable?
No.
I was actually surprised. I was with some of my friends this weekend. Some of them still have cable. I'm like, dude, get
Maybe
with
they
it.
watch
like,
sports.
sports. So like I have my uncle's login and I can go to like log into the sports apps and watch it live. I have Chromecast. I shoot it from my TV or from my phone to my TV and back. It's amazing, dude. And I don't need cable as long as I have someone else's login to get into like ABC or for
I
like
spend most of my
NBA.
time deep diving on TikTok or watching cringe videos or fail army videos of people falling over or like street fights, people getting totally knocked out is sometimes, weird animal video. Like it's like, that's the media I consume now. Or like, podcast clips and comedy clips constantly or music stuff. It's like, that's
You watch a lot of YouTube?
Yeah. I watch YouTube.
Everyone loves YouTube, man. YouTube is great. And like, they know like what mood you're in. Like and they'll play another
if
video.
If you're
that's,
actively
like,
using it,
that.
and I subscribe to different channels, and if I'm in the mood to do like more like technology and curious stuff, I'll go that route. I have like that's my I have 2 accounts on YouTube. One is like my AJ Comedy official account, and that
I subscribed to that today, by the way.
What?
I subscribed today to that one.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So on that one, I make sure to only follow like sort of productive things, whether it's in the comedy world, music world, technology world, like, cause I do a lot of like, gear collecting and stuff like that for creating music and stuff. And I try not to, if I'm going to go like click on something a little more nonsense or just to like escape into something ridiculous, I'll switch to the other account to do it.
Oh, that's funny. 2 different accounts for different.
But now it's overlapping
attitudes.
because all the political stuff I do is like I'm doing impersonations of these people, so they think that I want to like watch real political debates. I'm like, I don't. I just need the material. But anyway,
yeah, dude. I mean, it kind of goes back to like the power of the modern day as far as not needing to be in LA or New York, like we were talking about. Like, how cool is that? That anyone with a phone can become famous anywhere. Like, that's so cool.
I think it's happening across every industry where you have the gatekeepers are, disintegrating.
Right.
The only downside to that is you have to do all the work yourself. In other words, once upon a time, you put in a certain amount of work and then someone is willing to put in a substantial amount of investment to bring you up to a certain level and can provide those services for you. But that meant you had to sort of win the lottery and like find the right person at the right time. And then they had so much more control over your art form and your material. And if they wanted to shelf you, they could, especially with labels in the music industry. Like if they didn't want to give you another record, they wouldn't give you one, and you had no means to make another one and your other record was tied up. Like the days of that are over. You can control creation, distribution, the platform, the fan building, everything. It just means you got to do it all yourself. And if you're willing to do it, absolutely, it's the best time to be an independent creator.
Yeah. You got, but you also need a little bit of that Garyvee hustle to understand that other element of it. Because
you got to put in the work, like on some real shit. 100%. You got to put in the work. Patience and perspective and humility and gratitude of fucking again.
Brandon, you okay? Yeah, I hear him.
He's back there. It's actually true. That's actually true from like a viewer standpoint too. Like one of my friends who I swear is like a grandpa this weekend, I was talking to him. He still likes to watch cable because he doesn't want to pick what's on. He likes to be like handed what's on. And I was like, dude, what? Like you can. And actually, sometimes I will go to like a random movie on Netflix, like 50 First Dates, and I'll just go to the middle. Like I'm like, it's like I'm watching cable. I just go right to the middle with no commercials.
I do miss that a little. It was always fun to like stumble upon Independence Day about a quarter of the way through on a Sunday on FX, and you're like, sweet. Like just as the spaceship's coming in, all that, what happens in the beginning, so like you don't need the exposition, and you're just like, oh, or like Mrs. Doubtfire, randomly Family Channel, ABC Family. It's like, oh dear, now you're talking to Mrs. Doubtfire, dear. In the middle of it, it's like, Daniel, the whole time? Or like right when the party is crashing, she's like, I want a divorce. I'm like, I'm right in the sweet spot. No, dear.
Yes.
Of course, dear. And then you watch with the commercials, dear.
Oh, the commercials, dude.
But like you had to watch then, and that was a nice time. Like it was sentimental. It's like we're watching, you just stumble upon it. But
Yeah. Do you want to know who actually, I just thought about this, somebody who mixes comedy and music a little bit. Like Lil Dicky. You know him? You like him?
I'm a fan of, he's amazing. Yeah.
Dude, I love him.
But he's more music than comedy. It's just that he makes rap that's funny as opposed to doing stand-up that's musical.
Well, now he's like doing his TV show and he's really focused on it.
Sure, yeah. Before that though, I think he built himself up, and like his medium to me is like what he's amazing at is his rap skills are incredible. His and freestyle skills are incredible. Never seen anything like that. Sort of like a virtuoso freestyler.
I think
it's funny. What?
I think all those freestyles when he goes on talk shows are all written out 100%.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Either way, I actually think it's freestyle.
Oh, come on, dude. Actually, one of my favorite skills is to watch freestyles and think if they're actually freestyles or not. And I love freestyling with my friends, and I can always try to pick them out. Dude, he plans those. And actually, I had another point about Lil Dicky. Is that people, Garyvee, put out so much content.
Yeah.
Like one thing about Lil Dicky is he kind of does the opposite. He kind of puts out like less stuff, and he's like really like anxious and wants it to be like perfect,
Right.
which is interesting to discuss, but also that makes me think his freestyles are 100% written.
Interesting. It's an interesting
the
debate.
one
I've seen
time
him
he,
do
like-
stuff in the moment that means he can properly freestyle. Where he
And the one time he had like flowers, he was doing a freestyle. with, like,
Tracy,
think it
I
was on
brought
the-
you flowers. Yeah.
Okay, he had flowers, which goes towards the plan part.
Well, no, he brought flowers, but then when they asked him to freestyle, like he used it in the freestyle.
Oh, he didn't know that they were going to ask him.
There's a technique to freestyle. For instance, I can't really do it, but like if I was in the room and I was saying something like, I don't know if I can do it and put myself on the spot, but you know, like you look around and you rhyme with whatever word you're going to see.
dude.
You plan it after the word you set up, like looking
Yes,
at Sean
dude.
and slick back hair and looking at Sean with slick back hair behind the desk. I see a fucking panda bear and a sure sticker on the microphone. It's really cool because we getting in the zone like, but he goes super, super fast. That was
You're more my
lame.
territory now. Actually, freestyling is like one of my hidden drunk talents.
Oh,
But you're
nice.
right. That's the key. That's why I like trying to analyze if people.
You follow this guy, Harry Mack, I think his name is?
Yes, dude. Actually,
Yeah, so
I
he's
keep mentioning
freestyling.
this-
He's
I keep
freestyling.
mentioning I keep mentioning this bachelor party I was at last weekend because it was like my first time.
Harry Mack in the building. We getting
Dude.
down and we getting like woman does let the pink shoes. Hey, he's amazing.
I was having the same conversation that I was just having now about I'm good at like picking out whether it's freestyle or not. And someone was like, "Watch this guy. Tell me if he's a freestyle or not, dude. He's definitely freestyling.
Yeah,
he's
he
good.
is. He's
good.
responding everything in real time. Anyway, back to your point. I just think Lil Dicky's an interesting guy. I think he makes rap that's very funny as opposed to doing comedy stand-up where he has a little bit of rap in it. It's more of from a musical side. It's fully musical. But yeah,
And also
so
his content strategy. His content strategy is the opposite of a Lil Wayne or Garyvee or just like
I'm
he's
also
like,
a Childish Gambino fan, like a Donald Glover fan who did sketch.
Yeah.
He's done a little bit of stand-up, but he's also a musician and a producer and a rapper, whatever. So like being in both those parts, I think it's important as artists, creatives. You don't have to like label yourself and limit yourself to one thing if you do a lot of things. So
I love people who like mix it up. Like you think they're this and then they're that.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll be a rapper one day. I'll be a podcaster or change it to a rapper. It's like mix it up. I love that.
How long
it does
have you
take
been doing
talent,
your
man.
podcast? How long? Sorry.
93 weeks. This is like my 93rd episode. So I've been doing it for 93 weeks. And like, the main thing I do is run my business. Like on Monday, I'm moving my, like 18 employees over to a 22,000 square foot building that I bought. So like entrepreneurship is my like main
What
thing.
is the
That's what-
business?
So United Monograms is a company. It's like personalized clothing for girls, and we found a huge niche in it. And I'm going to try to build more brands off it. But we do production. Like most of my employees, all my employees are over there right now. I'm pointing over there because that's like where it is. They're shipping, printing, embroidering. I have operations manager, customer service. Like it's a very hands-on like warehouse factory style business. And like I'm moving into this new building, and I want to put a podcast studio in there. But I'm now thinking of like other business models I can do. Like I'm an entrepreneur first, but I just love talking and shit. And it's also a cool business model podcasting. Like we talked about, you can well, I don't know if we talked about it. You could do something once and then it can go like viral.
Yeah.
Not that I've really had that happen, but like,
Okay, cool.
but-
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
I forget how we got there, but I
I'm
get
just
when
curious.
I start talking about myself, I get a little excited. So I got to, because I'm absolutely, everyone does. Like,
Do you want to do
isn't
like
that
2
funny
minutes
how-
of Ask Garyvee just for fun? We can do
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, so 1 second.
All right, let's do it.
Actually, I'm friends with Gary. I'll bring him on the call. Just if you had any questions, because you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure you want to talk to him. Just let me bring him out 1 second.
Okay.
Hey, Gary. What up? I got Sean Lowery here. He's got a business. He had some questions for you. Okay. Sure.
Okay, Gary, hey, it's an absolute honor to talk to you.
Fucking Sean
I know.
Lowery. I fucking love it. Like,
So Gary, I am moving my company over to a new building next on Monday, and I'm really nervous about how everything's gonna go. And what should I do about having my employees go to a new place, making them feel comfortable? I'm nervous.
okay, Sean, can I be real with you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think you're nervous because you're insecure,
Okay.
right? Like, what are you scared about? You're scared about other people's opinions? Like, are your parents immigrant parents?
No, I was born in, my parents were born in Pennsylvania.
Okay, but look, whatever Uncle Bob fucking says about you moving, who cares? Right? Like, change is good.
Okay.
Stop caring about other people's opinions, okay? To the folks out there who are wondering, Sean is saying he's moving and he's scared of that, but that's okay. I worked at my father's fucking liquor store for 9 years. I moved, I had nothing, right? Like, I didn't care.
Gary, I'm not scared of their opinions. I'm scared of, like, I had 2 machines that are working perfectly. Now I have to move them to a new area and I have to network it.
Right.
Like,
innovation, Sean. Innovation.
Logistics.
Innovation. Everybody is uncomfortable with innovation, right? Like, and it's sad. It's fucking sad, right? But like,
I guess.
I hope they don't work for 2 months to give you some perspective, and you have to fucking print everything by hand and learn how to draw these logos by hand, right? Like, imagine the place you'll be when you could do that. That innovation, honestly, like, too many people are scared of that. They run away from that. I would embrace it.
Okay. All right. I thank you. That's helpful, Gary. So my other question, Gary, is like, my business is going well, but like I have a bad voice, but I want to be a rapper and I want to be a freestyle rapper, but
respect.
Like, but I don't think I'd be good at it.
Okay. So it's a hard fucking no. Self-awareness, Sean, is so fucking important. And if you can't rap, don't. And if you can, do. Okay?
Okay.
Great.
Gary, I have a friend who like made an Instagram for their 1-year-old, and I was wondering if I ever have a 1-year-old, should I make them an Instagram or a TikTok account?
I think without a doubt, yes. These kids need to be made to be technologically savvy. If they want to be in this world that's virtual, I would start an Instagram account when they're in utero and put a fucking iPhone up there so they can start playing around with their little fucking fetus feet. Boom, 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 boom. Like, they want to come out prepared. Honestly, I think that when they come out, that fucking umbilical cord should be an iPhone charger. On some real shit.
But Gary, what if they like get too addicted to it and they never have any real connections because they're too addicted to their phone?
Every fucking generation is worried about addiction. In the fucking 80s, they were saying that video games and 17 magazine was going to be addicted and ruin kids. Didn't do shit. Right?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so put a fucking iPhone up there, and if it's a wide set vagina, iPad mini.
Okay, all right, so I will do that. All right, that's good.
Some women can take it, believe me. I know it. If you're really ambitious, Mac Pro.
Gary, what do you think about Bitcoin and the future of cryptocurrency?
I mean, I think it's been obvious. I've been saying this for such a long time, and I think it's highly, highly underrated and underpriced attention, right? For NFTs and Bitcoin and crypto, you're going to be on your phone all the fucking time. And I think honestly, that's going to be the future. But I really honestly don't think money even really matters at all, because I traffic in fucking positivity. When I need to get a loan from a bank for a business, I go in there and I say, I'm fucking positive as shit. And just for my confidence and energy alone, because I have talent, right? Like, they give me it. It's like no problem. I think we're going to live in a moneyless world in 10 years, right? Everyone's going to have a fucking profile and you're just going to DM people. Ask for shit, ask back, and don't expect anything. The second you don't have expectations, especially from your bank, you're fucking golden.
Okay. All right. So I'll try that strategy on Monday when I ask for a loan. Mm-hmm. And Gary, last question. Like, I'm really busy at my job.
We have time for one more from Sean. We have time for one more. Okay.
One more. Okay. I'm really busy at my job, and I'm very busy, and I have a lot of logistics to handle. But you talk about this garage selling and making extra bucks. Like, where do I find the time to go garage selling? And is it worth the $11 that I'll make on a Saturday?
I have been saying this for years. I'm obsessed with flipping. Garage selling will build up your chops like you wouldn't fucking believe for sales and marketing. You say you don't have time? Stop Netflix and chilling with your fucking girlfriend, then go to a fucking garage sale. There's nothing more romantic than flipping a fucking teddy bear from 1982.
Okay. All right, Gary. What advice would you give to my 14-year-old teenage daughter? She's not doing great.
How so?
She is so obsessed with her friends. She doesn't ever want to hang out with her family. She's doing bad in school. She's getting C's, and I'm nervous about just her overall attitude.
I was a fucking D and F student. I think she's on the right track. She should fail, because learning how to fail is the pathway to success. and she's just not caring about her friend's opinion, and she should possibly move out on the streets to gain some perspective.
So fail out and move to the streets. That's what I should have her do?
Yep.
All right, Gary.
Sean, thank you so much. I have a lot of gratitude for your questions. I think they were very helpful. Dustin, can we crop a bit of this for Sean so our viewers can see what he had? Okay, great. Love it.
Okay, thanks, Gary. I'm going to go pass along that advice to my daughter.
Respect. Wow, that was a good conversation you had. Really nice.
Dude, I can't believe I fucking got him, dude. I always wanted to have Garyvee on the podcast.
That's exclusivity, man. Good for you.
Dude,
I hope that was helpful.
I hope that was helpful. And it's definitely gonna be helpful to my daughter, who's now I'm gonna tell her to fail out of school. And yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Good grades are way overrated.
Yeah. For sure. Totally. Anyway,
dude. Yeah, dude. That's fucking awesome. Yo, all right. Like, here's another thing I wanted to ask. I didn't plan anything, but I always think there's like, it's a funny conversation. Like, you have like a favorite news story from the past couple of years that like you thought was really funny?
News
I have one
story?
in mind. Yeah.
You tell me yours.
All right. So like, remember when like there was that like Jeff Bezos like dick picture out, and that was like a news story. It was like, will we see Jeff Bezos' dick pic like anytime soon? And Jeff Bezos was like behind closed doors, like making calls, like trying to cut the story from coming out, like about his dick pic getting leaked. Right. I just didn't think enough people were like laughing at that story. Like,
well, because Jeff Bezos also kind of looks like a dick. Like a dick that was kind of like mashed up, circumcised in a bad way. Like,
yeah.
It's like, well, I'm building a bookstore and we're trying to do everything that we can. And, the revenues and profits, I see a lot of projections where we can actually take over, but he's bald and it's sort of like he looks like a semi-boner, He looks like a raging semi.
Yeah. So he's probably got like a weird dick. And like, I'm just imagining him like up there with all these like $1 billion ideas. Like, damn, I don't want this to leak. Like, I don't want this dick pic to get out there. And like, that was like his big issue of the day.
Right.
Oh no, I thought that was really funny, and I never saw it, so I guess
the Anthony Weiner stuff was hilarious. Remember the picture of his outline dick next to like
because his picture came out.
Yeah, and it was just hilarious because it was like the second or third time it happened. He had so many chances. He never even got to do anything naughty. It was just all sending pics. That was a pretty funny story.
And like, his name's Weiner, and that's just so funny.
Everything about it was funny.
Did you see Dave Portnoy's sex tape?
He has a sex tape for real?
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
No.
So actually, Brandon, who's back here giggling all podcast, he said, oh no, it wasn't him. I tried to show it to him. One of my friends sent it to me on Twitter. I clicked on it. So, okay, it's Dave Portnoy. It's like, they don't show dick, but like he's on the back. He's like from behind, and he's got a black dog collar with a chain attached to it around this girl's neck. And he's like doing her from behind. And I went to go show it to Brandon.
What's up, Mr. Dave Portnoy? I'm going to be, I'm trying to work on a Dave Portnoy. It's not like what you're not saying is I think it's a fucking scumbag. No, he's not. But I actually think the guy from Vlad I'm trying to work on Dave Portnoy because I want to do a Barstool's pizza review where I do, not sock, cock, rock, locked. And I'm going to do one where instead of eating the pizzas, he's fucking the pizzas. That's my bit.
Dude, yes.
He's like, I'm a grower, not a shower. Don't worry about it. It's burning my cock like hot lava.
Dude, yeah, you got to look into the story more because he had a sex tape and it was super weird. And I went to go show it to Brandon and it was like the video was removed.
Oh, interesting.
But like that same day, he posted on Twitter like,
all right, emergency press conference. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this video that's circulating. I have a collar around a girl's neck. Collar, Boston, not cock. I got to get the impression down, but
I hear a little like Alex Jones in that.
Alex Jones is a little different. That's more Southern. That's not Boston at all. Alex Jones is here. That's a very different story. Okay, here's the deal. Look, here's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but Dave Portnoy is so cool.
Yeah.
Doing fucking the pizza, you can use that collar thing. I don't know how big that got because I saw it right when it came out and I think it like kind of got cut. But my favorite thing about him is he doesn't fucking apologize.
Yeah.
And like there's so much like power to that. He's like, yeah, I fuck. Like I fuck all the time. Like I do a lot of crazy
Did he acknowledge
shit.
the video was him?
Yes. Dude, it was him. It was not
Exactly.
like deep
the
fake.
problem with the whole cancel culture thing is when people have to make these fake apologies. And then you're like, you feed this beast and it doesn't work. Unless somebody's done, if you don't believe you've done something wrong and you're honest, like whatever, like,
Dude, this is actually like pretty wisdom. Only say sorry if you're sorry.
Yeah.
And like
common sense, but.
I know.
Because everybody knows none of it's real. The accusation isn't real. The apology is real. The crime isn't legitimately like in when somebody like had a tweet from a while. Like I'm talking about I'm not talking about criminal actions. I'm talking about,
of course.
I'm talking about like a tweet that was a joke. That was
like Drew Brees. When Drew Brees had to apologize for saying like, Drew Brees said, my dad fought in World War II, or my grandpa, and so I kind of like lean towards like standing to the flag, but I respect everyone's opinion. And he got like heat, like ESPN,
So
Drew
like that
Brees.
stuff, everybody knows that, like whatever, I don't know the context of that, but the point is like, even the people making the accusations, it's not a satisfying apology because it's
Right.
fake from top to bottom. So when you just say no, it goes away.
Yeah. Don't apologize. Don't
Yeah.
apologize. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like end on like what's like something that you've been thinking about a lot lately?
Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is keeping up with the beast of how much content you have to create. That's getting to me, but in a good way. It's like, they talk about, this is a serious point, but the burnout that everyone talks about with content creators is kind of, I see why it's a real thing. You feel this pressure to keep up with the demand for what you're doing, and you feel like you have this weird relationship with these platforms, which I'm grateful for because they're giving me an audience, but they're also like enslaving me. I want to be grateful for what they're providing, but also not let them control me, but let me control them.
Right. Right. So you feel like you have to put something out every day?
I do, but mainly because it's not like I think TikTok will really punish me, even though there's like compromise the views, but there's also like a part of me that knows I could fall into the habit of like letting things slide. I think a lot of creative people, including myself, have that natural ability to say, oh, I should be doing that more, and I should be doing that more, as opposed to doing that more and doing that more. So with TikTok, I said like, I don't want to lose habits I've developed, which is that muscle of posting every day and getting good at it.
Right.
But at the same time, like I don't judge myself. Like if I miss a day or whatever, it's fine. But I really try to stick to it. I stick to it like fitness. So it's like the pressure of fitness. If you want to stay in shape, if you want to stay in good creative shape, you have to be consistent. So that's something I'm trying to work out to balance my music schedule and my comedy schedule and all of those things.
Yeah. How
I'm
do you
thinking a lot
plan your
about comedy. I'm thinking a lot about stand up and
comedy.
my bits.
Because that's coming soon.
I listened to a great podcast with Jerry Seinfeld on the Tim Ferriss Show, who talked about his process. It's very inspiring. He said he's very technical about the whole thing, about his whole regimen. He sits down every day, and I ordered like a book, empty book to write, like just a bunch of nonsense ideas. When I think of a bit and I try to write a joke a day, at least the premise of a joke of a bit, so that I can expound upon and develop upon it when I think of them. And I miss days on that, but I'm trying to do like. And I have like a smart board, like a whiteboard next to me of just ideas of different ideas that come to me, so I can, when it's time to flesh out the act, to start working on things, I can actually start working on it.
I like the working out comparison.
What's that?
Right. I like the working out comparison.
Yeah,
like you can be in great shape, go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and then you have a cheat day. You get drunk, you eat whatever, and you don't go to the gym. Like,
I give myself a day or two off on the weekends where I don't even use my phone, but I'm just like, I'm trying to balance all of that in because it's a good pressure, and I like that there's this audience that has a thirst for what I'm doing, and I want to keep building it. But I also want to make sure I'm taking care of myself and not being crazy, and like I don't want to pick up my phone at 7:30 in the morning when I wake up to check views and that stuff. I'm really trying.
Did you have 4 kids?
Yeah.
Like, do they think you're so funny? Are you like the funny? Like, are you like?
They're very young.
0 kids.
They're very young.
How old's the oldest?
7. 7, 5, 3, and 1. They do think I'm funny now. It won't last forever. And they know, like, stop with the voice. And, when it's not good when they're hearing me working and I'm saying, fuck! That's not good. We have to explain that. One day in class, one of my kids is going to go, like, fucking perspective, right? And they're going to be like...
Yeah, well, Garyvee says, like, he thinks all kids should curse all day long.
I don't agree with that. I don't want to curse around them. But in any event, I got a whole handful of things, so...
Dude, you are... super talented. I wanted to have you on the podcast because you just attracted me, because all the people you are in my world, and like I love impressions, and dude, you got that talent, you got that voice talent, you got the people down, and I think you're going places, my man. You'll be my first like Patreon, like I make fun of like, I'll do it for free if I can, but I would support you. And I think you should eventually put together a show, touch up that stand up, and then you could have like the Omni Kozak like act and like a
variety show,
something different than anyone else. Yeah. And like people will go, they buy tickets, you tour. Dude.
Love it all. You're speaking my language. I appreciate it. Sean, thanks for having me on. Brandon, I'm glad I could tickle you back there. Right? Like, okay, giggle. Branded, like it's perspective. Like you were invisible, but you had a presence, and I appreciate that on the Zoom.
Yeah. He is a big teddy bear that you could tickle, so that's perfect.
Exactly.
Dude,
All right, Sean.
thank you so much for coming on. We'll put this out there and everything. And tell everyone where they can follow you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So you guys can find me, Ami Kozak, at AJ Comedy on Instagram, at AJ Comedy on TikTok, Ami Kozak Official / or at AJ Comedy on YouTube as well. Follow me on all of those platforms
Because it's not about the platform, it's about underpriced attention. Okay?
So just make sure you follow me on all those platforms. YouTube has more of the long form content and some of the other funny bits on TikTok and Instagram as well. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
And we'll link it all up. Thanks for coming on. You're the man.
All right, Sean. Take care.
All right. Peace.